March Before Dawn by Cassie Gibson. I returned home like a fox running to earth, retreating to a place of unexpected safety. It was before dawn and the sky was turning blue at its seams. I took a breath of the night air. It was cool and clean and made me feel intensely awake. When had I last been here? 6 months or more. Last Christmas. Before I could feel the debris of the city sloughing off me, streaming from my pores to be neutralized by the salt air, the hospital stink losing its grip and seeping away in the pre-dawn light. The door of the house was unlocked, which wasn't unusual. I made my way upstairs and laid my bag carefully on the bed. I had brought only one small suitcase, neatly packed, and I found the orderliness of it gave me an immense sense of satisfaction. First, I took a shower and then I put the suit I had been wearing into the washing machine. I hesitated and then threw in the carefully folded contents of my suitcase as well. You couldn't be too careful. This left me with a towel, so enfolded I sat and watched as the clothes rolled round in the drum. The washing machine whirred and hummed. What a wonderful thing it was. I watched it sleepy and hypnotized. My phone flashed blue, but I let it go to voicemail. Too late. It rang again and I switched it off. The next morning was sunny. I awoke too early because the curtains in the guest room were thin and let in all the light, which was brilliant and very yellow. I scrunched up my eyes against it, but it fought its way through. The house was quiet, no one home. I went back down to the kitchen, one unwashed mug by the sink. Had that been there last night? I didn't know. There wasn't a car in the driveway, just my blue Ford parked up along the verge. Gone to work then. The blue sky stretched invitingly out over the houses and down towards the sea, not quite in sight but close by. A walk then. Over the downs and along the shore, the town was curiously quiet, too early for tourists, but not many dog walkers, anglers, retirees, and other hangabooters. When I reached the seafront, the tide was far out, leaving a long, clear stretch of damp sand, reaching past the arms of the cliffs. I walked along the beach a long way, enjoying the feeling of expanse, the sea stretching out infinite beside me, the widening kind of blue you long to run towards. I felt a pang of loneliness to be here alone, where we had so often been together. It was then I realized I had left my phone behind, but never mind, probably not much signal out here anyway. It wasn't late when I returned, and everything seemed the same. I checked the cupboards and the fridge. Enough food, no milk and wine. David would surely like to come home to a light supper, a contribution to the household, a pleasant surprise. Had he noticed I was here last night? Unlikely, but he must have seen the car this morning. Seen, divined, and ignored. I made my short list and walked over to the supermarket, busy after the isolation of the morning. Some people wore masks, which made them look angrier. Started. Mine kept riding further and further up my face, inching up my nose and onto my eyes. Next time David could do the shopping. It was 7 before I began to wonder where David was. Not usually a late worker. Where could he have gone? Was he perhaps avoiding me? I dug out my phone and switched it back on. Many missed calls, nothing from David. It took me a long time to pick out a text, the essence of which was, "I am here, where are you?" At 8 I washed the cup that was still sitting on the counter from this morning. Then I called David. It rang for a long time and my heart skittered, no answer. I tried again half an hour later and left a message on his voicemail. "Please call me." I wondered if I should call Anna Dad. But it wouldn't go through. I tried David one more time. I tried to wonder what David had been doing. Did he have a new girlfriend? Was he away on some inexplicable work trip? I couldn't remember what he had said when we had last spoken. When had it been? 2 weeks or more ago? He had rang 2 days ago, but I hadn't answered. Was this silence some kind of petty revenge? I went outside and checked what I already knew. His car was gone. Returning upstairs, I knocked tentatively on his bedroom door. "David," I called. "David, are you in there?" I slid the door open, half expecting to see him there, lying on his bed, absorbed in some game. Empty, of course, bed unmade. which meant nothing. David wasn't one for careful bed making. Was anything missing? His laptop. I couldn't see that close. Well, somewhere here. Hard to tell. Phone charger present and correct. Then he hadn't meant to be gone long, would perhaps be back soon. I stared anxiously around the room, willing the objects to transform themselves into the clues that would let me know my brother's whereabouts. I picked at dinner and called David again, no response. Calling the police felt like an overreaction. Didn't you have to wait some period of time anyway? 48 hours. Was David missing? Or was he simply not here? Had he sensed my presence and decided to go elsewhere? Were they all so angry with me? I drank the 2 glasses of wine I had poured, which made my head feel heavy. The lack of sleep was catching up with me. Rest. And then in the morning, David. I awoke suddenly, as if startled by a loud noise, a slamming door, a car. David? I sat up slowly, trying to arrange my ideas. I must go find David. So I must get out of bed. Had he slammed the door? I stumbled thick-headed down the stairs. Everything looked the same. Outside, I could hear a car somewhere on the estate. Was that David? Had he come back late last night? I searched the kitchen for some trace of his presence. 2 dirty plates, 2 empty wine glasses. I must have eaten David's food as well, or he had eaten it. I stood staring at the dishes as if they were some simple sum I couldn't make it up. I had been here last night and I had eaten. Which plate? One? Both? How could I ever know if David was missing when my own memory seemed mothiated through, badly patched and repieced together? What was the time? Almost 9 o'clock now. Surely David would be back tonight. And if not, I would call someone, the police maybe. Anna. I should call Anna and hear the news. I went for another, longer walk to distract myself. It was colder but still sunny. Gulls wheeled over my head, crying to each other. The surf was rougher and my clothes were covered in a fine mist of spray. I wanted to pause, to hide inside this moment and emerge only when all was resolved, to appear again at the denouement, or after. The threads of my story seemed hopelessly lost, the future a frightening blank. I was late returning home. I wanted to give David every chance to come back. I almost burst into tears when I rounded the corner and saw the still empty driveway. Not back. Not returned. I searched every room of the house, in case he should have returned on foot and chosen to hide behind the ironing board. I picked up my phone and called David. It didn't even ring this time, cutting straight to voicemail. Was David lying in a ditch somewhere? His phone now dead and silent beside him. I shut my eyes tightly and then opened them a little to call Anna. She picked up on the first ring. "Have you seen David?" I said quickly while she was still drawing in breath. "Why?" "I was trying to get in touch with him. He said you're not taking his calls. Look, are you coming back? If you see him, tell him to call me again. I'm not ignoring him. I want to see him." "Okay." I hung up the phone quickly. "Trying to call me?" I checked my phone again. Just the one call from David 3 days ago now. I paced the room. Should I call Anna again? No, I had given her the message. She would surely pass it on if she heard anything. Ought I to have told her David wasn't here? Surely no need to worry her further. I spent the evening on Facebook. I contacted all of David's friends. No one who had seen or spoken to him in the last 2 days. They all passed on their condolences. I paced the room again. One more day. Should I call the police now? I looked at my phone again. Messages from Anna, messages from an unknown number. Who was that? Should I call them back? Might it be about David? Was it the hospital trying to get in touch with me? Many texts that I couldn't bear to read. Was it over yet? In the morning, one more night, I woke again in the blue light before dawn. A dark figure loomed over my bed. A scream caught in my throat. Then streetlight through the window caught the nose, the chin. "David, you're here. Where have you been?" "Where have I been? What do you mean? Where do you think I was?" "You're not missing," I said to David, stupid and accusing. "No, I'm not. You're the one who disappeared. Why wouldn't you answer my calls?" He gazed at me in stupefaction. "Mike, I lost my phone," he explained gently. "I got a new one, which you would know if you ever answered your phone or read any of your messages." "Why didn't Anna tell me?" "She tried to, but you hung up on her. She guessed you were here, so she sent me to bring you back. She's furious with you for taking off in the middle of the night like that." "I knew she would be." "Why did you do it?" "I just had to get away. I couldn't bear it anymore." "You think you're the only one this is hard for. You're such a child sometimes." "Look," he paced the short length of the room. "I don't want to fight, but you have to come back now. It's almost over. You need to say goodbye." "I can't, David." My breath choked in my throat, tears pricking at my eyes. "I can't do it. He looks so blank, it's like he's not there." "Dad loves you. How can you leave him now?" I sat helpless on the bed. The sun I knew was once more creeping up over the horizon. My Hamster Massacred My Family by Clyde Laffin. "Hey kid, no one blames you for this butchery, you know that, don't you?" The police lady speaking to Sam chews gum at a nervous rate of repetitions, picking dirt from under her painted fingernails as she does so, anything to avoid eye contact. She is as round as a beach ball. So round the top button of her khaki pants is unfastened. Her red hair is short, like the Marine sergeants Sam idolizes in war movies he and his dad stream. Marine sergeants, however, don't wear pink lipstick. She smells too, but not like the girls Sam knows, which is just his mom and older sister Charlotte. This woman smells like his gym class of sweat and aerosol deodorant. Yep, Sam decides, staring down at his blood-soaked t-shirt. The police lady smells like a teenage boy. Only worse, because most teenage boys Sam knows don't chain smoke menthol cigarettes, the ones that come 40 to a pack. The police officer smells nothing like his mom, who leaves the house each morning to sell houses smelling sweet, like roses and summer. Did. Sam reminds himself. His mom did smell of roses. She is in the past tense now. He reads her name tag, Officer Waters, and sees crumbs of cinnamon sugar hanging off untrimmed whiskers that protrude horizontally from her chin. Or should that be chins? Sam is only 14 and doesn't know too much, but he knows enough to know something is up with Officer Waters. He takes a moment to study her from the top step of the front porch stairs where he has planted himself. The night is cool and he needs the fresh air, away from the rusty stench of fresh blood. Crazy. Here she is standing in the middle of a bloodbath, 4 bodies ferociously massacred, and she looks pleased with herself. Sam is no stranger to this look. He's seen it a dozen times. It's the look Charlotte has every time her phone goes. Bing. With another Damas text message from that Damas jock boyfriend of hers, Gunnar. Is that really a name? Sam wondered out loud when he first had to shake the dipshit's hand. Every time Sam sees Gunnar and his goon squad of blonde-haired jocks, he just wants to puke. Though now his sister is upstairs, laying in a pool of her own gore, her throat torn to shreds and her blood-stained cheerleader body stiffening with rigor mortis, Sam guesses he won't be seeing too much of Gunnar anymore. Well, at least one good thing came out of tonight's massacre. This is all my fault. Who cares? Thinks Officer Sally. Truth be told, Sally can't believe her good fortune. Girl, you just won the lottery. She feels so lucky she struggles to hide her glee. She never had a good poker face, but if there is one time to master one, it's tonight. She looks down at the monstrous brat she is ordered to watch and sees big fat wads of $100 bills. She takes a moment to consider him. He's so scrawny she could bench press him. And that sickly sweet face framed by a well-barbered crop of brown hair, matted in parts by clots of drying blood, is pot-marked with pimples. A part of Sally just wants to get her chipped nails and squeeze the puss out of them. Worst of all, he reeks of privilege, stinks of it. Like privilege is dog shit, and he stood in it. She only needs to look down at his Air Force Ones, who buys a 14-year-old the latest Nikes, to know this kid doesn't want for anything. But what really gets her goat is his teeth. Sally sees a perfect set of fangs every time the little monster smiles. If her mom wasn't such a deadbeat, marrying jerks and spending the few dimes she earned working the cash register at Walmart, and padded out with welfare checks and food stamps on cigarettes and bottles of yellow-tail Sauvignon Blanc from Australia, then maybe she too would have a set of nice teeth. Sally is a betting girl and would wager a sawbuck that some kid knocks those pearly whites right out his smirking grin the first night he beds down in juvenile detention for slaughtering his family. She has not seen the carnage herself, but she hears the officers investigating the bloodbath upstairs puking into brown paper bags Detective Johnson has handed out. It's sickening up there, boys, more like a human abattoir than someone's home. Not being one of the boys, Johnson told Sally to wait downstairs and look after the kid. She was pissed until she had her come to Jesus moment. It is dark past 8 p.m. Sam is hungry. He hasn't eaten since breakfast, though he dares not ask for food. When your family lay viciously butchered upstairs, their innards used to redecorate the bedrooms like the killer took cues from an episode of Good Bones. The television decorating show, being hungry is the last thing you should be. Sam watches enough television cop shows to know the drill, but everything happening right now is so surreal, so not of this world. He feels he stepped into an episode of Stranger Things. The front yard of Sam's house is a rodeo of cops, ambulance officers, onlookers, and, of course, television news crews. He's watched the shenanigans for the past 10 minutes since he was ushered downstairs and into the waiting arms of that human beach ball. First, there was one news crew from the local station, then one more, then another 2, and now there must be 10, including Fox and CNN. It reminds him of pigeons in the park. Start feeding one, and before you know it, there is a flock in a feeding frenzy before your eyes. Sam hears a noise and cranes his head left. Mr. Simpson's torso is lying in an open body bag that a man with a ponytail, wearing a jacket that reads coroner, is about to zipper close. Mr. Simpson was a nosy neighbor always causing grief for Sam's mom, popping over at inappropriate times of the day, an empty sugar bowl in one hand as he rattled the front door with the other. Mrs. Baker, it's Mr. Simpson. Are you home? Sam smiles, remembering his mom, rolling her eyes and making an imaginary gun with her thumb and forefinger, holding her hand up towards the front door and pulling the imaginary trigger, mouthing the word capo. 2 police officers with flashlights now search the trimmed hedge that separates the 2 properties, his and theirs, for Mr. Simpson's head. It is missing. Sam wonders if Roger, that's the name of his hamster, ate it or tossed it aside. Roger eats grains and pieces of lettuce, so Sam can't imagine he would have an appetite for a head. Then again, who thought Roger could do this? Officer Waters takes a handkerchief from her pants pocket, spits into the top corner and brings it to Sam's face to sponge off the blood. She knows she shouldn't. It might be evidence, but she needs this kid to trust her and fast. There, she says, feigning empathy. What a night you've had. Sam does not know this, but Officer Waters earlier had taken her iPhone and turned on the recording app, placing the phone in her top pocket. Sally Waters has always wanted to be rich. Rich like those women on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Atlanta, even those Jersey bitches. Nothing she did, however, landed a dime in her pocket. Her lotto tickets each week lost. The girls she dated, the ones she met on Tinder and down at the saloon bar on a Saturday night, if she wasn't hauling her fat arse doing overtime, were as broke as she was. Weekly trips to the casino left her with a hangover and an empty purse. Then, not too long ago, she and some other cops were slurping coffee and scoffing donuts over at Dunkin' Donuts on 54th and 3rd when one of the cops, she thinks his name was Barry, told a yarn about a cop he knew who got a 6-figure payment from one of those tacky tabloid magazines you wade through whilst waiting in line at Walmart. selling them photos of a crime scene he had attended. Sally's ears pricked up. How much? Barry spoke, chewing a mouthful of strawberry frosted. 100,000 smackaroos. And now here she is, Sally Waters, sitting next to a snotty-nosed privileged kid who is the main suspect of what will be known as the Sycamore Street slayings, the most brutal murders anyone in these parts can remember. Inhuman. One news reporter will describe them. Another will use words like ruthless, savage, cruel, and merciless. All she must do is coax out his ridiculous story, dash upstairs, take a couple of snapshots, and before she knows it, she too will have teeth as perfect as his. Maybe take herself to Cancun for a vacation. Or put a deposit down on one of those condos they are building downtown that look over the river, where the rail yard was, and Whole Foods now is. She could afford to join a gym, lose a few pounds, shop somewhere nice, and date someone decent. So kid, you going to tell me what happened up there? I mean, it's quite the mess. You say your hamster did this. Sam shifted his weight from one bum cheek to the next. As we said, Sam knows the drill. Do not spill your guts, no pun intended, to a police officer without a lawyer present. Everyone knows that. But Sam isn't thinking now. They found Mr. Simpson's head, but he's lost his face. We were having breakfast. Sam sobs. Me, my mom and dad, pancakes with bacon and syrup because it's Saturday, and mom always makes pancakes on a Saturday morning. She never gets the bacon crispy enough though, not like they do at IHOP. I like crispy bacon too. I bet you do, Sam thinks, eyeing Officer Waters' girth, and continues with his story. I was just about to help myself to another when Charlotte starts screaming like she is being mauled by a werewolf or something. Mom! Mom! Sam's hamster is eating my underwear. Mom! Mom gives me the biggest death stare. Sam! What? I didn't put him there. We say pardon in this household, not what? My father interjected. Did you put your hamster in your sister's underwear drawer? It takes every bit of inner strength I possess not to loll. I can see the blood drain from mom's face. And my sister wails and weeps upstairs. Mom is white with rage. She snatches the plate in front of me away, knocking over my OJ. And she does so. Now look what you made me do. Mom is freaking out, though not as much as my sister, who comes screaming down the stairs, a towel wrapped around her. Mom! What am I going to wear? I'm meeting Gunnar for breakfast in like 30 minutes. Sam, get upstairs and get that hamster out of your sister's drawer. Right now. But I haven't finished eating. I protest. Now better still. She turns towards me, threatening me with a silicon egg flip. You can get rid of that hamster today. Once and for all. Mom, he's my only friend. Gone today, otherwise, I will get rid of it. And trust me, young man, I'm not shy about sending it down the garbage disposal. Mom, Dad says something, he's such a wimp. Does my head in sometimes. There are 2 girls in this family and 3 boys if you include Roger. You'd think we controlled the place, right? Nope. Dad is a pussy and always sides with the girls, leaving Roger and me in the minority. Sam, do as your mother says. I scuttle upstairs, get Roger out from my sister's underwear drawer, and retreat to my room, land myself on the end of my bed, cupping Roger in my hand. I hold his whiskered face up to mine and look into his tiny dark round eyes. I wish you were big, like a gorilla. Then they wouldn't be threatening to send you down the garbage disposal. Then you'd have some respect. I popped him back into his tiny hamster home, jumped onto Facebook, and posted that I was giving away my hamster to a good home. This was just for show. There was no way Roger was leaving my side. Mom found my sister some clean undies to wear, and Dad took me to my football game. We won 2-1 in extra time, and everyone seemed to have forgotten about this morning. I got a few likes on my Facebook post, but no one said they would take Roger away, which was just what I wanted. Then Saturday night rolled around. I was lying on my bed listening to some music when there was a knock at the door. Sam, it was Mom. Mr. Simpson from next door is downstairs. He saw your Facebook post and said he is happy to take Roger. He has a nephew who would love a new pet. So pack him up and bring him downstairs, okay? Sam. What? I couldn't believe my ears. She wasn't really going to make me give away Roger, was she? Now Sam. But Mom. I cried back. Now. She handed me a Nike shoebox. I scooped Roger out of his cage and placed him inside. Get him, I whispered into his little fury ear and kissed him on the top of the head. He looked up at me, and I swear he winked as if to say, I've got this. I stood at the top of the stairs, watched Mom give Mr. Simpson the box holding Roger, and turned as I heard the door closing. Not a second had passed when we all heard a huge roar followed by a scream. Mom ran to the door, opened it, and became hysterical, slamming the door shut and running up the stairs. Jeff, Charlotte, Sam, hide. And that's when I saw Roger, the size of a gorilla, come stomping up the stairs, blood dripping from his front 2 teeth. I ran to my room, slammed the door shut, and covered my ears with my hands as the house filled with the screams of my family as my hamster massacred my family. Bingo, Sally thought. What a story. I might be able to buy that condo outright. Wow, kid, some story. Where's the hamster now? Upstairs, in his house. Once he had finished, I went to the landing and found him in front of my bedroom door, back to his normal size. I picked him up, put him back in his cage, and called 911. I should never have made that wish. Sally took the phone from her pocket, closed the voice recorder app, and opened the camera app. Wait here, kid. Don't move, I'll be back. Gingerly, she took a step towards the door, then another and another before she started to move her bulky frame with determination. She needed photos, and now. She bounded up the stairs, past the wall of blood-sprayed photos of smiling privilege, past the forensic team with their flash cameras and tweezers going over every detail, past where Sam's dad lay, his throat torn to shreds. Sally takes her first photo. Wow, she thought. This is going to be so easy. No one noticed her, not the forensic guys, the uniformed officer, and the detectives. This is her life story. No one notices Sally Waters. Next, she sees the sister's room. She pukes but holds it in her mouth and swallows. It's rough, her stomach churns, and she now wishes she hadn't eaten that last donut. She even begins to tremble in horror as she takes her photos. The pure merciless brutality of the slayings. And the blood. How could a 14-year-old do this? Sally carefully steps around body parts, pools of more blood and gizzards as she tiptoes towards Sam's room. Posters of Marvel superheroes and some Spanish football clubs are tacked to the walls, and against the far wall is a bookcase sagging under the weight of R. L. Stein novels, dozens of them. Sally has no idea who that is. And there, sitting outside of his cage, licking what must be blood from his paws, is Roger. Officer, I thought I told you to look after the kid. Johnson barks from across the room. Sally thinks quick. He's cold, sir. I thought I'd come up and get him a jacket. The detective rolls his eyes. Sally raises her camera to take a photo of Roger and sees that he has disappeared. There's a collective gasp, then a brutal growl. She sees a uniformed officer reach for his holster. Something tapped Sally on the shoulder. She turns. She wants to scream, but only a hiss of air leaves her mouth. She drops her phone. Someone is pushing her from behind, screaming, "Run!" But Sally's feet don't move. She is transfixed by the 6-foot-high hamster that is bearing down on her. Its 2 giant front teeth, as perfect as that kid's downstairs, tear at her throat, ripping the life out of her. She can't scream. There is nothing to cry with, and so she falls, her blood spray painting the kid's bedroom a bright red. Her last moment of life is hearing a bullet rip through the skull of Roger. The skull of Roger.